I'm going to skip this one because, well, you already know what to me. I put there just because the slides are going to be ready. Again, DevScope, look at some of the products that DevScope has. Smart Documented, but we have Power BI products that are amazing. So go ahead and check on the website of DevScope. Yes, so first session was kind of theoric stuff. This is going to be practical stuff. Okay, I choose some couple of scenarios that I'm going to migrate from BizTalk, and I'm not saying that it's going to be the best solution to migrate to Azure. It's a possible solution to migrate to Azure. Okay, so the first thing is about content-based routing, okay? And content-based routing with log operations. How many of you are familiar with BizTalk, by the way? So a lot of people, no? Awesome. When we speak about log operations, sometimes and kind of request response, we think about an orchestration, which is incorrect, okay? Orchestration is good if we have a business process. To do simple request response, we don't need an orchestration to do that, okay? In this case, and this was a solution that I made, we have a web service exposed, okay, with canonical schemas, an insert person, a delete person, and a select person. And in the other side, we have a SQL database, and we are going to insert, delete, and select. Okay? Request response without orchestrations. Okay? We are just doing content-based routing through the message box, and we get the response back. Okay? So we have this amazing solution with BizTalk. How can we do the same inside Azure Integration Service? No? First of all, we don't have message box. We don't have property promotions. Okay? The SQL adapter is not the SQL adapter, but is a SQL connector, which works different. Well, the important part here is do not change the inbound, because this is what the client communicates with. If I do not change this part, it's transparent for the client to communicate with my solution. So that's the goal that I'm going to do that. Well, this was my approach, okay, and I'm going to show that approach. The web service that was exposed inside the BizTalk machine is now going to be exposed in API management. It's going to accept the SOAP and blob. You're still going to have kind of do the same request that you said before, but with a different URL, of course. We can innovate. Again, innovation is important, and do some kind of better authentication with a vault or keys and so on and so forth. Okay. And again, there is no message box, but we are going to do that operations inside the logic app. So that logic app is going to handle, and it's going to be a single logic app. I could choose create 3 logic apps, one for insert, delete, and select, but then I have to monitor three different stuff. So I'm going to use a simple one because that's not too much logic inside. So it's kind of easy to do that. And of course, I also innovate a little bit and put my SQL database, the same SQL database that was on premise, on the Azure SQL. Okay? Again, it's transparent for the client. The client communicates with the service, not with the SQL. So I could even remove the SQL and put the Oracle or other stuff like that. Okay? So first, let me show you the BizTalk stuff. Close it. Okay, so this is the BizTalk solution. I have to look this way because I don't have on my screen here. So this is the content-based routing. I do have a receive port here. And if you look to that receive port, it has a receive location that listen to a web service. Of course, because they have inbound, canonical inbound schemas, and we need to send it to the SQL, I'm doing inbound mapping transformation from person to insert, add person to insert, delete person to delete, and select to select. Okay? So I'm mapping or transforming my message into what SQL expected to have. And of course, I have here the opposite, the response from SQL and response to transform it to a canonical response. Okay. And again, I do not have orchestrations, okay? Zero orchestrations. I have a send port that has a filter to that receive port, okay, and add all the operations here and define which kind of operations we are doing inside the SQL database. Simple as that. Okay. So in my solution, I only have 6 schemas, 6 maps, and that's it. Okay. And I don't know if I have it here, but let me close this. No, I do not have here. But if I test that, again, it's going to be an insert, delete, and select. Okay. I have in a different machine. I can show you later on. Now, to do the same, inside well, I'm not sharing. To do the same inside the Azure, I first start to create my API. So I create manually my API on API management, and you see that I have an add operation, a delete operation, and a select operation. And well, I could choose kind of having an integration account, mapping, and so on and so forth. Well, I decided to keep it simple, to put something different, and I actually create a policy that converts my XML in JSON. So instead of sending the XML to the Logic App, I'm going to, on the API management, convert that XML and send it to JSON to the Logic App. The advantage of that is that I have a first-class experience with JSON inside Logic App. I can tokenize this JSON message and I can simple map into the operations, which I cannot do that with XML, at least for now. Okay, so I did innovate a little bit. I even ignore the SOAP action that is sending, and for the other operation, I'm going to put my header, that is insert operation header, insert operation, and I'm going to delete operation, and so on and so forth. So I'm controlling the better way this, because I can innovate here. Okay, and of course this is going to invoke a Logic App inside my environment. So the Logic App is here. I'm just receiving JSON. Okay. I think this is the correct one. Okay. Yes, this is a select operation. Okay, I'm tokenizing the headers, so I can control the headers. And here I'm going to do the switch operation between what is my operation type. It's a delete, an insert, and a select. Okay, and of course I'm not using the body JSON here because I can receive multiple bodies. So depending on the headers, on each branch, I'm going to then do a parsing for the correct JSON message that I'm receiving. For example, a delete, I'm going to just receive the citizen card. I'm going to delete by the citizen card. On the insert, I'm going to have address, email, first name, last name, and so on and so forth. Okay? And on the select, I'm going to do a select operation on my SQL database. Okay? This is my SQL database that is equal that I have on premise. You see, I already have some kind of results here, and I did prepare here on Postman some examples to query that. And again, if you see that, I'm sending the exact same SOAP payload that I was using inside BizTalk. Okay. So if I do a select instead of Diogo, and to see this is working fine, I'm going to put Sandro, and I'm going to have Sandro Pereira, all my details, that we see that it's here. Okay, it's working. So wait a second, okay. Now, if I do an add operation, let me put just a different card just to be sure that exists, doesn't exist. I'm going to add operation complete. I got that. Say that 7777 is there. Okay? Even if I try to kind of insert the same, I have control and say, well, not duplicate. Okay? And if I want to delete that, order ID, and I mean order ID. Oh, I did a mistake with the delete and overload that. So let's keep that for now. Okay. No, delete is this one. Sorry. I got that, so it's going to delete that one. Okay, it's working exactly the same way, but in a different implementation. Again, I did the migration as is in terms of functionalities. It's working the exact same way that it's working with BizTalk, but I migrate to a different technology, and I did innovate a little bit. So I'm not using now XSLT to do the transformations. What I'm using is that I'm using policies inside API management to do this kind of transformation. And then, of course, by doing JSON, when I do the delete operation, well, if it asks for a row ID, I have my citizen card here because I have the payload tokenized. So I have a token here that I can access to that field in the payload. Okay. So if you see now the insert, sorry about it. So if you go here to the see more, I have all my fields of the message tokenized. So phone, I can go here and just click it. Simple as that. I can map to my operation. It's going to send it to the SQL. First class experience. It's great. I can do that with XML, but I have to use XPath queries, or I have internally to convert in JSON and do the exact same that I'm doing there. Okay? I just facilitate a little bit. Okay? Where is the slides? Now, another scenario, and this is a real case sample of a client. It's a file transfer. Okay, all BizTalk customers have some kind of solution that is a file transfer. Okay. In this case, it's a flat file, a CSV file, and I modify the structure not to be the exact same of the client, of course. But the goal is that the name of the file has some naming conventions. Okay. My organization, my client, and the ID of the document itself. Actually, the real case, it has more, okay? But I simplify a little bit this. So in BizTalk, what I did was, I could do that in different ways, with a pipeline, passing the name and get that, but I use something that is not really common to use, that is Business Whole Engine, to extract and parse the name of the file, and based on that, do content-based routing. And again, based on the name of the file, I'm going to promote partner, message type, and file name. And through that promotions, I can easily route and subscribe on the sandbar. So I can, if tomorrow I have another partner, and just go into the business rules, apply a new policy, and that's it. My solutions stay the same. I don't need to go to my custom component or change just because I have a new one. And that works amazing. Problem here, again, we don't have message box, but we don't also have business rule, okay? So we need to do that in a different way. And, well, again, in this case, I use a logic app to be the consent of also the business rules. And I use key vaults to have some kind of configurations that, based on the name, I'm going to fetch what is the configuration needed, and dynamically I'm going to call a child logic app depending on if it's SP or a different client. Because SP can be, for example, a folder, but the other client can be an FTP, a REST API, and so on and so forth. And again, in my case, everything was an FTP. But again, we can modernize. We can go to the client and say, do we have a different way to do that? And apply different ways, okay? So, again, let's see the BizTalk part. So I have here the business rules policies, and as you see, I have kind of three ones, and again, a little bit different of what the scenarios that I have, but Sandro, the I rule, SMG, Mango, PS, three different partners, three different documents, okay? And each of them are going to go extract the file name, and based on each value that I have, I'm going to promote different destinations and so on and so forth, okay? This was kind of the real project of the client. And on the BizTalk, I have an application called Dynamic File Postman, and I have a receive port that has a receive location, and use kind of a pipeline to call that policies, and based on that is going to be mapped to the different sandboards with different subscriptions, okay? Because I'm going to promote, based on each type of the file, different property promotions, and these ports listen to different properties, okay? And I think, for example, I have these, and this is going, Sandro is going to the Sandro folder AADI. So if I kind of delete this file here, just not to have this, and you see that if I copy it to my in folder, that is going to be processed, it's going to the business rules, and it's going to be mapped to the AID here. Okay. Again, if I use another one like SMIC, that one has to be to this one. Okay. Fingers crossed, because I didn't test that, to be honest. But it has here. So based on the name of the file, it goes to different folders. This is the folder. In production is an FTP or whatever. Okay. That's the beautiful of BizTalk. We configure based on the configuration that I want on the sandbox. So now let me check here my. Okay. Now I have here a VM. I start deciding, okay, where I'm going to put a file. And I can use, for example, a BNet, listen to a file on premise. I didn't have networking and so on and so forth. So I use Azure files, okay? It's kind of a concept of a Dropbox. You install the Dropbox on your machine, and everything that you put in that folder is going to synchronize to Azure, and someone can pick that. So I do have the same files, SP, and in this case LR, just to route to different structures. Okay, and again, I did kind of do the same, but I did some kind of innovation. I'm going to archive the original files, and I'm going to send to a logic app, and we have the main logic app that is going to be here. This one is going to pick up files from that file, Azure file, okay? I have the Azure file connected, and I'm going to put, going to pick up the file in a recurrence way, and I'm going to check what is look, I know that there is some kind of files that are dumps that I need to discard, and I'm going to discard that, and I'm going to check what is the client, so SP or LR, and based on that I'm going to here to the key vault. I'm going to get the partner. So the partners are going to do the partner and read that SP or LR. And I'm going to the key vault, read the configurations of my URL of my child logic app, because I want to dynamically, if it's an LR or SP, to send it to a different logic app. But I don't want to have multiple branches here, because that means that if there is a new one, I have to go to my logic app and create a new branch. So I'm going to put that in configurations, and in runtime I read that configuration, and I'm calling it a child logic app. And for that to be dynamic, I have to use the HTTP request, which is fine, okay? Instead of using the logic app connected, I'm using the HTTP and doing the same stuff, and I'm going to send the content type and the name and the content of the message, and I have different logic apps here. So I have one that is processing the SP, and this is going to put in an Azure blob storage in a queue, and I have another one that is going to process another one and send it not to Dropbox but to OneDrive. Okay, I changed that in the last minute from Dropbox to OneDrive, but it's going to do the same there. One is going to put in a REST in a REST format, and another one is going to put in a flat file format. But there is one important thing also here, is that where it is, where is my VM, this one. This file has a particularity. The first line is not data, it is headers. Okay? So it's something that I don't want to process. I want to discard it. Okay? And I have to do that somewhere, okay, in my solution. What I did is create a flat file schema, and through that flat file schema, that is the same that I use in BizTalk, by the way. So I can actually take that flat file schema from BizTalk and upload to my storage account and apply that. I'm going to remove that only using the flat file schema. And it's very easy to do that. I don't need any custom component to delete that. Okay? So let me check that again. Oh, where's my mouse? Let me put this is my demo queue. So already have some data there. Let's see. And I have my OneDrive here, just you guys to check. Okay. By the way, let me delete this just not to have problems. Now, if I do send this, and I do send that, I put these two, and I'm going to my orchestration, and I go do it manually because I have this running each 3 months or something like that. No, I'm going to force it manually. It's going to grab the files. Okay, it's running, and it's a seed. You know that we may have here a new one. Exactly. 28, that is today, and we have here a new one also. We may have a new one here, but let's see. It's not here. Is that copy the same file? 28. So this is the SP, the LZ as go to Dropbox. Let me do it again. Just I think I copied this one, but you never know. There you go. I don't know, maybe copy the same one, but this is in XML format, and you see that the first line does not appear. So I remove that, okay? And I remove that by using what is this flat file, okay? And I have it here. The problem is because I'm using Logic App Consumption, to use that I need an integration account to have this flat file schema on Azure. It's a little bit expensive, but if you use Logic App Standard, you are okay with that because you are built in. It already support by default schemas. Okay. Now, another thing is, and this is very common, dynamic ports inside BizTalk. in runtime, we set configurations, okay? And we can do that easily by setting the configuration series, okay? Even connecting through SQL, okay? And I do have these in production to a client that, based on the message itself, we are going to insert in different databases that are equal, but they are different clients inside the client. And because we don't want to affect one and the other, we decide in the design phase that each client is going to have its own database. So if it's client A, we have to insert in client A database. If it's client B, we have to insert in client B database. But you only have one orchestration. Right? So that's by setting dynamic ports or doing kind of content-based routing, and that port subscribe that. Nevertheless, we don't have that options inside Azure. And I guess that all the connectors, or the majority of the connectors available on Azure, do not support dynamic configuration. The few exceptions are the HTTP request, the HTTP adapter, that you can dynamically set up. But SQL, you can't. There is no way that you can say that connect to the SQL database or with that server, but in the same with the same contract. So because the database is exactly the same, they just have different servers. Okay, but you cannot use that. The solution is using a logic app as a concept of adapter. Okay, so this logic app has all the operations that you can perform inside that SQL, like the insert, delete, and select. And that other one has exactly the same ones for a different database server. Okay, and I kind of use the same strategy of the BizTalk with the operation to send that to the logic app. I send the operation and the payload. And inside that, I have a condition, say if the operation is equal to insert, do that. Otherwise, do that, and so on and so forth. So I kind of use the same stuff. And again, I use the same strategies. If I have a key vault, depending on the client, I get that information from the client, and that says call this logic app or call that logic app. Again, tomorrow if I have another one, just put inside that, create a new logic app, and that's it. Okay? My main doesn't change. So let me show that. And again, this is my main. It accepts that. What I have is I get the request, I get the company configuration that I get, if it's Sandro Pereira, or in this case it's Nino Brodelli. And based on that, I get the URL, and I'm going to call the SQL connector dynamically. And that's kind of not true. It's a logic app that acts as a SQL connector. And in this case, I have, let's say, this is my Sandro Pereira, and this is kind of the SQL operation scope, which operation delete, insert, and select. And again, for each one, I'm going to put a parse and that execute that operation itself there. And it has this exact same for the Nino Cordell, okay? And for the SQL, I have this one. I know. So I have my orders here, select top, and if I go to the other one, that is the Nino, you see that I have the exact same structure. It's exactly the same database, but in two different instances or servers or whatever, okay? So now, if I go to my dynamic ports and do an insert, that's company NC from Nino Cordelli, okay? And that's going to be, let's say, order 7, okay? Send. Go to our, okay, and if I go to, it's going to 7 here. Again, if not this one, this doesn't have 7. If I do SP, do the exact same. Oh, damn it. I broke that. I have it there. So, exact same. And I can do all the operations. I do not care. So, delete 7. In this case, I'm connecting directly to the logic app. I'm sending the payload of the JSON directly to the logic app, but I could expose on API management and so on and so forth. No? Kind of the same. And there you go. See? It works. So my logic app works as my BizTalk SQL adapter. Yeah? Last but not the least, one of my favorite topics, that is transformations. I don't know, but for me it's very common to have a process that I receive a payload, I need to fetch some data, fetch again, and aggregate all these in a request that I need to send it to a different, sorry, not this, to a different client, no? So this is quite normal for me. And in BizTalk it's quite simple, because inside BizTalk, inside the orchestrations, I have a transformation shape. And on the transformation shape, I can add on the inbound multiple messages. And what does BizTalk does for me is, behind the scenes, is going to create me a schema with multiple input messages. And I have on my mapping all the messages, I just drag and drop to the destination. How can you do that in Logic App? Okay? Logic App only accepts one inbound message, not multiple inbound messages. The transformation, if you call a transformation action, it's only have one input. So you have a problem there, okay? What I did was, I did implement the aggregator panel pattern inside an orchestration by using the same strategy that BizTalk works behind the scenes, but I have to do it in a kind of a manual way, okay? Because in BizTalk, what it does is create a kind of a dummy schema that is not deployed, and you can use that. So I did the same. I'm using XSLT nevertheless, and I'm going to call that inside the Logic App. I'm using the integration account here because it is a Logic App consumption, but I could use the standard, and in this case, it's not needed. Okay, so let me show that. is my mom is annoying me. Okay, so sorry about that. You know that when I don't know your mom, but she calls, I cancel. She calls again. I cancel. She calls again. It's impossible, and I can say no to my mom. So sorry about that, guys. Okay, so let me see if I can. Formal option. So if I do this in BizTalk, and again, this only works inside orchestrations. This type of map only is available inside orchestrations. If I use a transformation, let me just be sure I'm going to transform a message one, I don't care. I'm going to create a new one and say the first inbound is message one, the second inbound is message one, I only have message one, okay? 3 message ones and 1 message one, okay? What BizTalk does behind the scenes is creating this schema with a root and input message part 0, part 1, and part 2. And again, see, it has the message 1 inside, message 1 inside, and message 1 inside. And I can go here and kind of do this message and message transformation. Very simple to do that inside BizTalk. Okay? Again, you cannot apply this inside Logic App. So, click. And here, just for a proof of concept, I kind of emulate a request because I don't have a request to another system. So I'm going to receive a payload, a Sandro payload, a person payload, and here I'm going to emulate a call to an external system to get more information. I'm going to get my birth date, my gender, my phone, and marital status, and family house, okay? And I'm going to aggregate that, okay? And what I did is I am building behind the scenes the same concept of BizTalk. I have the root, message part 0, message part 1, and I'm having that schema as message part 0 and message part 1. Of course, I need to create this schema first, kind of in a manual way, to put in the integration account. Thank you. Okay, but by doing that, I can have that working and do this kind of joining message that I'm still going to have inside my Logic App process. Okay, of course I can do that by code if I want, and so on and so forth. But here I'm using the same schemas that BizTalk was using, and the same maps that BizTalk was using. Okay, so if I do that and I have a request here, you see that my body joining. This is not the request, so let me go here. This is the request. And I assume that this is not the URL. This is the URL. Let me check one thing here. Okay, all good. Did I say anything correct? Maybe. No. There you go. Okay. So I did have the transformation. I'm converting the first name, last name to full name, and I'm getting the gender, marital status, address, birth that is not on the request message. So I aggregate two messages, do the transformation that I was using inside BizTalk, and return back. Okay. And I use that same approach to using JSON to JSON with the data mapper inside the Logic App Standard, for example. Because the data mapper also do not support multiple messages, it has the same problem. So because these transformation shape only accept one content and one map, that's it. Right? And with that is everything that I have for today. I choose some small topics. I hope you like it and have some kind of good ideas. Again, this is my kid. And where is